Okay, so we still talk about the Buddha disciple, whether they are bodhisattva or not. So they explain to the Buddha how to attain enlightenment in the past life or before, right? Mm. Oh, we still have, yeah, last time I have not finished the last part about, okay, so, oh, the Bodhisattva of crystal light, right? Yeah, and then I have not finished last part here. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, in my opinion, the best consists in looking into the power of elements of winds, which has nothing to on which to rely, thereby awaken to the Buddha mind so as to enter the samadhi, then to unite with the profound one mind. Expounded by the Buddha's interaction. So again, this Bodhisattva specialize or focus on the winds. So he recognized as there's no real wind there. So that's why he awakened to the Buddha mind. So yeah. So attain enlightenment, awakening is so flexible, right? There's many ways, not one way. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Akasagarbha Bodhisattva then rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "When the Tathagata and I were with Dipamkara Buddha and realized our boundless bodies, I held in my hands 4 big precious gems which illumined all Buddha lands in the 10 directions, as uncountable as dust, and transmuted them into the absolute void. Then my own mind appeared like a great mirror, emitting 10 kinds of mysterious precious light, which penetrated the 10 directions, reaching the boundaries of space and causing all pure lands of Buddhas to enter the mirror and then to intermingle freely with my own body, which was just like unobstructed space. Then my body could enter perfectly as many samsaric countries as there are grains of dust to carry out far and wide the Buddha's works of salvation, so that universality could prevail everywhere. This great transcendental power derived from my close inquiry into the 4 elements, which had nothing real to rely upon, and into false thinking that rose and fell alternately and ended in nothingness. I realized the non-duality of space and the sameness of the Buddhas, the Pure Lands, and the samsaric worlds, thereby achieving the patient endurance of the uncreate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this bodhisattva had a previous life with the present Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, where they were in the presence of a different Buddha, Dipamkara, and Akasagarbha Bodhisattva had these precious gems, and he said he transmuted them into the absolute void. And to me, I wouldn't think he actually made them disappear, like they were no longer like able to be held, but that seeing the voidness that is their nature. And because for someone like myself, if I'm holding these gems that are going to be so valuable, it's going to be hard for me to see them truly as void. I mean, I'm going to be thinking about the value with which I could get from them and how it could change my life and things. Relating to something like that as void would be, a testament of realization. And then there's something, what was just a little bit more up on the right after that part of the void. There's a couple sentences I can't see. It'd be nice to see them to jog my mind.
Which one?
It's just a little bit higher up on the thing. So yeah, then my own mind appeared like a great mirror. The mind as a mirror is an analogy that is used um, over and over in Buddhism. We see it in the Six Patriarchs Jeweled Platform Sutra. There's a book I have called The Crystal Mirror. Um, and it seems like there's a depersonalization of that. When we're thinking of our mind, we're thinking of self. But if the mind is like a mirror, well, there's no self in that mirror. Um, and
Mm.
it's merely sort of reflecting sense impressions in a way. Um, and emitting 10 kinds of mysterious precious light. There has to be some sort of symbolism to that it's 10 kinds of light. My guess is that it represents things. Well, it penetrated the 10 directions.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps that's why. And so the mind emitting this light, it seems like, well, that would be the light of the Buddha nature, and that it expanded into the 10 directions without limit. Um, and then that these Buddhas entered the mirror and intermingled freely with his own body. I think in the like that realization of Buddha nature, that the Buddhas aren't really separate. There's, he's talk about individual Buddhas, and they have like these individual bodies, but the Buddha nature is not separate. It can appear to be many, and it can be talked about as being one, but it's beyond those concepts of many or one. Um, uh, and what's interesting, then from that state, this bodhisattva experienced being able to enter like all of these different worlds in samsara and carry out the Buddha's work. So that seems to be that like the transformation body, these myriad transformation bodies to be able to teach the Buddha Dharma. And that for him, these powers came from inquiry into the four elements, seeing that there was really nothing real within them, the distinctions that we tend to like I tend to automatically hold on to, a lot of people tend to automatically hold on to. It's our default, that upon inspection, those really they don't hold up. There's really nothing real there. And he also is looking into this false thinking that comes and goes, and ultimately is nothingness. And
Mm.
so he realized this truth of non-duality, and that the illusion of distinctions, and that the Buddha's pure lands are nothing but the samsaric worlds. The samsaric worlds are nothing but the Buddha's pure lands in an ultimate sense.
Mm.
Um, and that's how he achieved the uncreate. So it's a pretty beautiful description.
Mm-hmm. You know the name of this Buddha? Deepak.
Dipankara, no,
He's the one that gave prediction for second Buddha. You read a story?
I do not think so. I don't think I've heard that one.
So one times in the past, so when second Buddha was a Bodhisattva, so he met this Buddha, and somehow he saw a mud, so he lay down and put his hair to cover the mud, so that this Buddha and the Sangha working on that hair, long hair. You remember that?
I have heard of that story. Yeah. It was a long time ago. That rings a big bell in my memory. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Buddha gave him prediction. Okay, in future will be Shakti Buddha. Uh,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
And somehow this Bodhisattva appear here. I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah. Of course, you talk about the voice, right? But of course, like you say that in the I mean that the consciousness school only. It say that the a consciousness, when someone purify it, it become a red mirror to shine everything. That's about. Yeah. So again, it's similar as the Bodhisattva who entered samadhi and became water, right? Remember that it's similar, right? So his body become water because he merged with that kind of water elements. So this Bodhisattva, he uh, merged with the, I think, the space elements, and his body and mind pure as a mirror to shine everywhere. And here, uh, the sameness of the Buddha land and samsaric world. So this kind of wording we may not find in Theravada traditions because they don't believe in the pure land at all. Yeah, they just recognize that everyone can attend ownership. That's all they can, but not to be born in the Western Pure Land. So that somehow in the Theravada tradition, they would not talk much about the pure and impure land. Yeah, but in higher tradition, they elaborate more. So here, uh, when you read this, it occurred to me the story of, Narajuna, the Bodhisattva, Narajuna.
And he was Nagarjuna was a Tibetan monk and master. I mix some of them up. I mix up their stories because it's been a while since I read
Mm.
his stories.
So Narajuna was considered as the second Buddha, second Buddha, and he was considered as the patriarch of all tradition in Mahayana tradition. But in Zen, in Pure Land, in tantric tradition, even in the consciousness school, and actually he was the patriarch of those Mahayana schools. So the reason why I mentioned him because he said that one time when he was lecturing, I think the sutra of Rit Paramita, somehow his body become a moon. So the assembly only heard his speech, but could not see him. They just saw the whole bright moon. Probably see him, he emerged or he entered that kind of samadhi where he went with the moon, or his body become a full moon so bright that they could hear his voice, but there's no body at all. Of course, after his lecture, and that's sutra, he reappear his physical body again. Yeah. Anyway, so he is the one that postulate. You remember the middle the middle Maya Kaya, the middle path, middle philosophy. That you need to go beyond the pure and impure one, to live with the Buddha nature. In the Theravada tradition, they say, oh well, this land, I mean, this samsara is so impure, there's so much suffering. We need to get out as fast as we can so that we can attain nirvana to become arhat. But in his idea, he say, well, nirvana or samsara are the same. There's the two sides of the coins. As much as we still attached with the samsara, as much as we still attached with nirvana, we still get stuck. We could not move further to the Buddhahood. That's, I think, there's a similar philosophy or principle in this expression. So he recognized non-duality of space and the sameness of the pure land and impure land. That's what this is the pure Mahayana ideal listed or the principle that should go beyond the non-duality and should recognize the sameness of the pure and impure instead of get stuck in one. And you remember Patriarch when he got caught with a monk and who want to steal the bowl and the rope and the sash, right? So he could not. So later on, that monk he say, "Please give me a teaching." So Patriarch say, "Well, if you don't think about the wholesome or unwholesome, where is your mind? Where is your pure mind? Where is your mind? Where is your mind?" That's what it means. So he teaches us that if we don't dwell in the duality of wholesome and unwholesome, good and bad, that's where we live with a pure mind there. I think we discussed before, right? And now
Yes.
they apply what they call non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in that type of idea. Yeah. Okay. Mm. Again, this type of idea, the type of principle is purely belong to the Mahayana tradition, not the Theravada one. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this word, patient endurance of unrated. Do you understand what it means?
I have a sense of it, and correct me if I'm mistaken. It's a synonym to attaining enlightenment, to seeing the Buddha nature, um, because the uncreate would be the Buddha nature, and the patient endurance, I would say, is it's beyond patience and beyond endurance, because if we have a concept of patience, then there tends to be a limit to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a concept of endurance, there tends to be a limit to it. But this sort of patient endurance would have no limit. There would be no taxing of it. There would be no like a feel that, oh man, I gotta be patient here. It's just the natural expression of the original nature.
Yeah. Yeah, unrated. Was the main one here. Yeah, that a pure nature is still there no matter where we are, whether we're here or on the heaven or even go down to hell is still there with us. Yeah, so that's why he achieved to this state of mind, right? Or attain awakening Buddhahood, Buddha nature. That and okay. So please can you finish this one?
As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, according to my own experience, the best consists in the close examination into boundless space, leading to entry into samadhi and perfecting thereby the mysterious spiritual power.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. The close examination of boundless space. It seems that boundless space would be difficult to examine.
Yeah.
That there's certainly I can feel a sense of like if my eyes are closed or even if they're open, I can get a sense of space, and I don't get a sense of a firm end to it. But I've never thought that I would like closely examine it, because it's kind of the sense is undifferentiated at first glance. But I do periodically dwell on that. I do periodically become aware of it.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And Maitreya Bodhisattva. Maitreya Bodhisattva then rose from his seat, prostrate himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha and declared, "I still remember that in the remoteness of aeons as uncountable as the dust, There was a Buddha called Kantra Padipa who appears in the world to convert others, forcing him to leave home. However, he still cherished worldly fames and liked to mix with noble clans. Then the Tathara taught me how to practice dhyana meditation on the mind consciousness in order to realize the state of samadhi. Ever since the following aeons, I have used this samadhi to serve Buddhas as many as the saints in the Gansa, thereby eliminating completely my previous mindset on worldly fames. When Dipankanda Buddha appears in the world, under his instruction, I realized the consciousness perfecting supreme samadhi of the mind, which enabled me to perceive that all Tathagata and samsara was purity and impurity and existent and non-existent were but appearance copies my own mind transformations. For only once, because of my clear understanding that not only the mind consciousness was the cause of all external I perceive, or unlimited number of Tathagatas coming out of the nature of consciousness. Hence, the Buddha prophecy that I shall be his successor. So again, so he focused on, he specialized in the consciousness school, right? And yeah, are you familiar with this Buddha name? You know Westminster Panja, right?
It's not, I know in the Lotus Sutra they talk about sun moon bright.
Yeah, Kanda, this mean moon. Suraj mean the sun. I forgot.
Yeah, because Surya Namaskar is sun salutation. Okay.
Um, yeah, so you know Westminster Tulipom, right?
Yes.
He's a Buddhist monk. So he still cherished the world famous has been he cut away, but he liked to be famous, to be recognized, right?
Yeah, this disciple wonderfully bright at that time, or this Dharma teacher wonderfully bright had a disciple at that time had a disciple who was forever occupied with laziness and sloth. He was greedy for fame and profit. He
Mm.
sought fame and profit insatiably, often amusing himself amongst clansmen and those of other surnames. So this is like the same situation that he's addressing.
In Lotus Sutra too, right?
Mm-hmm.
What chapter is that?
That is the first chapter, right? Yeah, that's the first chapter, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that's why you say that because you can say that kind of laziness, right? So he even practiced at the same time as Shakti Buddha, but Shakti Buddha became Buddha first. Uh, yeah. So anyway, so he specialized in recognition of the consciousness. So he realized the consciousness perfecting supreme samadhi. So that's why he recognized all the Buddha, uh, all the, if, yeah, mm, uh, the pure and impure just come from uh, the his own mind. Yeah, it's very logical, but it's not easy to recognize during our daily life, right? Most of the time, everything come from our own mind, right? And that's why he could recognize that only the mind's consciousness was the cause of all problem there, and the Tathagatas they also come out from the nature of the consciousness. That's why he was given the prophecy that he would be the next Buddha. You know the story that our grandmaster, Suyuan, he was beaten twice to death. He almost died. You remember that story, right?
I I know the one where they came to the monastery and thought there was gold, and he was already like 100 years old or something at the time. He was so old. I don't know the other time. I don't remember the other time he was beaten.
Yeah. So yeah, right after the Chinese communists took over China, they want to demolish, they want to destroy every tradition, and they focus on the head monks, the famous one. So they, I don't know whether the true or not, but they accuse him wrongly to keep a goal. I forgot the detail. So they torture him. At that moment, somehow his spirit went up straight to the uh, what's that, heaven? The
Lucita?
yeah, to see the heaven, the inner, not outer, the inner, to see the heaven. And somehow he met this Bodhisattva. Yeah, so this Bodhisattva gave him a lecture, and he asked whether he could stay back. So Master Buddha said, like, no, you still have, I just go down and come back later on.
Didn't he have this another experience the second beating? He also went to, because I thought I remembered it for the second one, but maybe I crossed the two.
Probably the second one that he saw, that he went up there, not the first one. Only once. He went up there only once. Yeah, probably the second one. Yeah, anyway, so he saw Ananda there. He saw most of the holy monks, Tibetan, Chinese, and so forth up there.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. You know that
Yeah.
in Chinese traditions, when Buddhism first spread to China, so many of them have the inspiration to be born in that Tushita heaven, so that they could learn directly from Maitreya Bodhisattva. You know about that?
About people wanting to be reborn there, or
No. When
about
the
Australia.
when Buddhism, before the Pure Land tradition become prevalent in China. So when Buddhism first spread to China, up to I think the fourth century, many Buddhist monks they wish to be reborn in that Tushita heaven, so that they could be reborn. They could listen directly to the teaching of Maitreya Bodhisattva there. You know about that? No.
I didn't know people aspired to that. It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. There's one great Chinese monk. His name is Dao An. Uh, so he was the teacher of Dao Viễn, the one that advocates the Pure Land tradition. So Dao An, he advocates that everyone should be reborn in the Tushita heaven to listen to Maitreya Bodhisattva teaching. But his student Dao Viễn, he advocates the Pure Land tradition. At that time on, they consider Dao Viễn as a first patriarch of the Pure Land tradition in China. It's about 4th or 5th century. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm. Uh, so anyway, okay. Have you read this the two sutra, the sutra that talk about how Maitreya Bodhisattva ascend to the Tushita heaven? You know about that story, that sutra? Another sutra how Maitreya Bodhisattva will go down, come down here, become Buddha. You don't know that sutra?
No, what are they called?
Huh? Let me type for you. Let me type for you this sutra here. This will actually every year during the New Year Eve and the first day of the New Year, we decide that the sutra of Maitreya ascending to Sita heaven. You don't know that? I can share with you here. It's very interesting. Like this one here. The sutra on my tray, birth in the heaven of joy. That means Tushita heaven here. That's the sutra here.
And it
Right.
sounds like it's if you recite it in one ceremony, it sounds like it would be pretty quick to read.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna type that into my browser. The Sutra on Maitreya's birth in the heaven of joy.
I can give you the name right here. Another sutra. Yeah, there's a explain here. That's explain here. Anyway, that's one. Another one is future of by try descending this descending to become Buddha. All right here. The sutra that I spell descent of Maitreya. Oh, right here. Oh, okay, right here. Actually, you can get a copy of that. Yeah, right here. Yeah, the Sutra of Maitreya Bodhisattva attend like Buddhahood. Similar, a similar way. This is you have no. It's the first time ever you heard about this couple two sutra.
Yeah, this is the first time.
Yeah, this is
Absolutely.
at our center. It's many years. I forgot to mention about this. Every year during New Year Eve and the first day of the New Year, we used to decide this couple sutra. Either one.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It looks like the first one I can find online and read it online, maybe. But the
mhm.
second one, it looks like it's only available as a book that I need to purchase.
Oh yeah. I think this one. Let's see here. Yeah, right here. You can read.
Oh, it's right there. Buddhism.org.
Yeah, yeah, right here. Buddha, yeah, Buddhism.org here.
Buddhism.org. Let's see if I type that in so I can
Yeah,
save this.
get the link there. Yeah, the link on the link there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I can definitely find time to read that.
You got the copy of the first one, right?
Yes.
Mm.
That one, yeah. I have that one.
Yeah, it's
It's
somehow.
the same one that you pulled up.
Mhm. Again, both tradition, Mahayana and Theravada tradition agree in this Bodhisattva. The one will be the next Buddha, the one that is stay in the Tushisa heaven to teach now. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, so
That's nice that there's some agreement there. That's really cool. That's a great
mhm,
area to come together on.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it is say how he teach people how many people that he convert and help them to attain arhatship, enlightenment, and how Mahakashipa uh, get out from samadhi to give the sacred Buddha rope and bows, or pass the rope and bow to Maitreya Bodhisattva.
I've watched the video, a cartoon of that.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, showing Magasiapa coming out and Maitreya Buddha, I guess it'd be yeah, Maitreya Buddha was huge.
oh.
Yeah, like compared to Makasyapa. Makasyapa was like teeny, and all the other people with Maitreya were like, why is he so small? And then Maitreya explained to them how amazing Mahakasyapa was.
Mhm. You still have that? I like to show to the children here. You have that link? You can find it on
I
the.
think Tikyao Fab showed it to me like it was years ago. I'm not sure. I would have to look it up. I don't know. You want
You
me to look for it?
no, that's okay. You remember the probably you would not remember the title.
I don't remember the title.
It's okay, no problem. That one. And
That would be a good one to show the kids because it's kind of funny how they're so big and he's so small. Yeah.
let's go beyond human thinking. Yeah, nowadays it's very. convenience for us to have this type of animation, right? The cartoon, so that people can recognize. Anyway, there's a lot. So somehow, yeah, he say that according to the school of consciousness, you say that when Maitreya Bodhisattva appear on earth to become Buddha, he would teach mainly the consciousness, yeah, for people to understand. Okay, all right, yeah, please.
As the Buddha,
That's me. That's me. Yeah.
oh,
As now ask about the best means of profession, my opinion is that the best consists of close examination into all appearances, which are created by consciousness only, in order to perfect the conscious mind, thereby realizing complete reality and ensuring non-reliance on externals and the breaking of all attachment caused by discrimination, thereby achieving the patient endurance of the ungraded. So that's what attend the Buddhahood awakening from the pure nature. So in his view, everything was rated by the consciousness. Um, uh, mm, So all of the attachment of the discrimination um, tie us down here. But as soon as we break that type of attachment caused by discrimination, we can recognize that pure nature there. Uh, Again, um, in practical sense, it's not easy for us like human being, right? Not to discriminating. But as long as we live with this type of principle, much easier for us to even to move on in life. That's why they postulate. I mean that the secular mindfulness practice they postulate or they advocate the idea of non-judgmental. Uh, yeah. Uh, mm, Otherwise, we get stuck with all kind of judgment to ourselves and others. Mm. Okay. Mm. Okay. By the way, you noticed the one of the story why he has the name of Maitreya. You know why?
no,
Maitreya,
no.
Maitreya, Maitreya. Either way. Let me type in here. From okay, Maitreya, Maitreya. We have the name either Maitreya or Maitreya. Uh, Friendliness. Maitreya. Okay. Loving. So uh, I could not remember the exact sutra, but somehow the legend relate to this name is that in one past life. So Maitreya Bodhisattva, he was a cultivator on high mountain, but somehow at once, I mean that somehow one time there was a famine. So mm, no one brought the food to him because he lived in on the mountain, and somehow there was a rabbit that wanted to make offerings to him. So somehow he thought that, well, I don't have anything except my own body. So he jumped into the fire to offer his meat to Maitreya Bodhisattva. And this rabbit mom saw that too, and she jumped into that fire to offer the body, the flesh to Bodhisattva too. But somehow, of course, even for us, right? somehow Maitreya Buddhist will say, there's no way for me to eat this kind of flesh. And he made a vow, says, from now on, I never consume any kind of meat at all. That's why he got this name, Maitreya or Maitreya, the kind, love and kindness there. You heard about this story before? Oh, sorry, I can't hear. Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Yes, I have heard that one, but I did not have it connected with Maitreya.
Yeah,
but it is, yeah.
Anyway, that's good then. Okay, so he he focused on the consciousness, and he recognized everything come from consciousness. If we go beyond discrimination, if we go beyond the attachment, we can see our own pure nature there. Yeah, please.
Mahastama, a son of the Dharma king, who was the head of a group of 52 bodhisattvas, rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, I still remember that in the remotest of eons, countless as the sands in the Ganges, there was a Buddha called Amitabha, who was succeeded by 11 other Tathagatas in that kalpa. The last one was called the Buddha whose light surpassed that of the sun and moon. He taught me how to realize the state of samadhi by thinking exclusively of Amitabha Buddha. By way of illustration, if a man concentrates his mind on someone else while the latter always forgets him, both may meet and see, but without recognizing each other. However, if both are keen on thinking of each other, their keenness will grow from one incarnation to another until they become inseparable like a body and its shadow. The Tathagatas in the 10 directions have compassion for all living beings and always think of them, like a mother who never ceases thinking of her son. If the son runs away, her thoughts of him will not help. But if he also thinks of her with the same kindness, they will not be separated in spite of the passing of transmigration. If a living being remembers and thinks of the Buddha, he is bound to behold him in his present or future incarnation. He will not be far from the Buddha, and thus without the aid of any other expedient, his mind will be opened. He is like a man whose body perfumed by incense gives out fragrance, hence his name, one glorified by Buddha's fragrance and light. From my fundamental cause ground, and with all my thoughts concentrated on the Buddha, I achieved the patient endurance of the uncorrect. This is why I help all living beings of this world to control their thoughts by repeating the Buddha's name, so that they can reach the Pure Land. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, I hold that nothing can surpass the perfect control of the 6 senses with continuous pure thoughts in order to realize samadhi.
Are you familiar with this Bodhisattva?
Mahastama, no.
It's restaurant Bodhisattva.
It's what?
Restaurant Bodhisattva. Remember?
Bodhisattva.
Remember the 2 men Bodhisattva?
Next to Amitabha? Okay.
One yin and this Bodhisattva.
Okay.
Bodhisattva.
That makes sense that he's depicted next to Amitabha.
Yeah.
Okay. Many Buddhists are familiar with this practice, certainly. And the part that I found especially interesting is the way that they described they use the term causal ground, or it's a little bit lower. I mean, okay, without it, whose man is perfected, the fundamental cause ground. I think that's interesting to me, and I wonder if I'm understanding that concept correctly. From my fundamental cause ground, and with all my thoughts concentrated on the Buddha, when I hear that, what I think of is like, okay, right now, if there's a decision to like pick something up, and like the default way that most of us think about that is the self, like I said to pick that up. but it seems like the fundamental cause ground is another way to describe that phenomena of, you know, setting up a cause. So in this case, the cause is reciting the Buddha's name. And is that another way of describing that that phenomena of sort of directive action, right? The directive action of choosing to recite a Buddha's name or choosing to do anything.
Well, in Vietnamese and Chinese, very short, but the meaning is that the basic one, the basic practice. The basic practice, they started one, the initial practice.
Okay, that makes sense.
By the course, what they call fundamental, the basic course around here.
Okay.
Practice, no, not basic practice, the initial practice, or the the foundation of the initial practice. That's what this is about.
Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I was seeing it a little differently, but that really matches with the text and everything. I appreciate that the clarification.
So for him, yeah, the most important practice at beginning for him that he decided Buddha name. Yeah, and he said that by design Buddha names, it could purify his existence. And yeah, I used to quote this passage, especially to the sorry. Oh, I used to quote this passage like with the mother who never cease thinking of her son. If the son run away, her thoughts of him will not have, but he also think of her with the same keenness. They will not be separate. Inspire passion of transfiguration. So here he give an analogy. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas like the mothers. The mothers always think about the son, the children. But for us, as a son, if we run away from them, from the mothers, there's no way for us to be united with the mothers until we think of the mothers. One day we will see her in one way or the other. So that's what it's about. I used
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think this just seems, it makes so much sense from personal life experience too. If I think about the collective unconscious, where there seems to be this layer on which we are all connected despite the space between us. I experience this sometimes as I will have a thought of a patient that I haven't seen in quite a while, and there's no reason that I should be thinking about them, but it's just like a random thought. And then within a few days, that patient schedules.
Really?
And it's like they're thinking about, they needed to get in to see me, and they were thinking about me, and it did something in my mind that had me have a thought of them, and then they come into schedule. In talking to other osteopaths, it's not an uncommon experience. Like, there are other people I know who have the same experience with regularity. So the idea that we could attune to a Buddha in that way, to be more open to that sort of assistance that they're continually working to give to beings, it makes sense, because a Buddha, even though they're going to be such larger transmitters, the sort of their energy and power is so much beyond what, someone like me would have.
Yeah, as a doctor, I think in school they may have taught you about how the mothers and the children are so close, right? Whichever happened to the mothers, the children may feel something wrong with the mother and vice versa. Is that right? Do they talk about that, or is just common sense?
We didn't know, they don't talk about that in medical school, but I think a lot of people, I think it's pretty common sense experience.
Do you know why? Can you explain? Do you know why?
I would think about, if I went real scientific with it, I would think about entanglement, quantum entanglement.
Okay.
That'd be one way. Um, but or just that connection in the collective unconscious, but they're particularly connected with a mother. No.
Yeah. Most of the time with the mother, not much with the father. Why? Because our body is part of her body, and vice versa. The elements of our body, the elements of our structure, the elements of our mind, our brain, and so forth, is so interconnected with her, with the mothers. So that's why whichever thing happened to her, somehow we could feel that, and vice versa. Physically, mentally, even spiritually too. It's pretty common sense. And that's why even I think I used to tell uh, the uh, the ladies who are pregnant that whichever thing she does or think of, it will affect to the unborn child, even their children later on too, especially unborn child.
On my ride home from the Ulambana festival,
Mhm.
I turned the radio on, and that's what they were talking about.
Really?
Yeah, and you gave the talk that day too. It
Oh,
was
you
pretty.
heard about that? I
Yeah,
see.
you gave the talk that day, and then on the radio, it was a program talking about the foods a mother eats, how they can affect the child's preference for foods in the future while the mother's pregnant.
Plenty. It's plenty, right? Yeah. It's something true, and it's logical too. The mother and the child is so interconnected, interrelated, uh, that uh, uh, that this has happened everywhere, not only in Vietnamese tradition, in Buddhist tradition, everywhere, in any tradition. And that's why we celebrate especially the mothers, the mother kindness. Okay. Anyway, so uh, that's why somehow in Houston we did what they call this the prayer for the unborn child, whether they were aborted or I mean that unintentionally or intentionally. We have that type of ceremony, that kind of prayer in Houston and uh, in New Jersey. We have not done here yet. Have you heard about that type of ceremony before? No.
No,
Well,
makes
let me show you this sutra. Let me see here. I think I have this one for you to see. Let me pull out. Yeah, I think how it's probably be helpful, especially you are the doctor to prescribe. I mean to give them the oh, oh, okay. Let me yeah, let me share with you. You know, right? You know, in Buddhism, it's very serious for abortion, right?
yes.
Mm. Let me type in Vietnamese and I can find again. The, mm, um, um, let me see here. Take a, I don't know where I can find now. Anyway, Oh, that's why. That's what we discussed about uh, to encourage the one that going to abort the child, right? To to keep that instead of harming that, right?
Hmm.
Let me type this one. This is in Vietnamese. Uh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Buddhist sutra about abortion. Mm, probably not. I need to search more. Anyway, let's go back here. So I will send you that sutra. It's be famous in our Vietnamese Buddhist tradition. We recite the sutra for the people who have aborted their unborn child. Mm. So probably you have encountered this kind of situation before. Have you ever encountered?
I have never had someone come to me first to help with the decision.
No.
I have had, I've known people close to me who years after the decision have shared it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't recall any conversations with patients, but I know my own mother. She had an abortion, and
Oh.
what she did later was she became a surrogate for another couple as her way of trying to make up for the fact that she had an abortion.
Mm.
And then I have uh, another person who's close to me, and his girlfriend became pregnant, and he had one, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of it affected, or she, they chose to do it together. It affected that whole relationship, and yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy for them, and the karma follow them then. Mhm. Anyway, so I will find that sutra for you to view. Anyway, come back to the sutra. Yeah, the Buddhas. I mean, the Buddhists have mentioned that as much as we recite Buddha names, we once with the Buddha, we can purify our existence, our consciousness, and so forth. Probably next time we can talk about what's the difference between this recitation of Buddha names and meditation, right? Before we move on to the next part, right? Mm.
Okay.
Okay, let's stop here today.